Mic check, I'm good. So I'm Max Ceron. Max Ceron, CWBA Association Welding podcast. Today we have a really cool guest, Welding podcast.
The show is about to begin.
Hey, welcome back. My name is Max Ceron, and welcome to the Canadian Welding Bureau Association podcast. Show here where we bring on guests from across Canada and the world to just talk about weld and weld life and all the cool things in the steel industry that are going on. Today's guest is Hannah Brock, right? Am I saying that right?
That's right, yeah.
So Hannah is, me and Hannah have a bit of a history, Hannah. How do I know you?
That doesn't sound great when you say it that way.
Sounds awesome. What do you... So how do I know you, Hannah?
Well, I took the applied certificate course through Sask Polytechnic in 2016, and we've just stayed in touch over social media and stuff since.
Yeah, that's a recurring theme in all our shows so far that I've recorded, is the importance of social media in maintaining the welding community. Right? It's something that it's just the way it is now, right?
That's right. That's how that's how I have gotten my jobs, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Is people you stay in touch.
And that's super interesting. So you took school in 2016. So I'd like to know what were your thoughts on that? How'd you feel about the applied certificate welding? That's the shorter one. It's what, 20 some weeks?
20 or 24, I can't remember.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed the short one because it lets you get out right into the workforce right away. Because I think what's the second part of the full certificate is where you cover like TIG welding and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Of the full certificate. So when you're when you're just out of school, you're likely going to end up in a production shop anyways. So you only really need your MIG to get started. So
Mm-hmm.
it allows you to get out into the workforce quicker.
It's interesting, like every kid and their toolbox wants to be the master TIG welder of the universe.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah,
a
you can
thing.
thank Instagram for that one.
Yeah. And the reality is that, there's very few full-time TIG welding jobs, if any, honestly. Like, really, TIG is a specialty job that comes through, it's not the standard. And for, like, you nailed it there, Hannah, where you say coming out of school, year ones, you guys are going to be running grinders and MIG guns.
Yeah. You're going to be welding buckets and maybe some more buckets.
But you know
when
what?
You get out of school.
That's how you get the experience, right? You get the hands on the trigger, get comfortable with the tools, get comfortable with the blueprints and the people, right? Like,
yeah.
So where did you go right after school? I think you got hired right after, didn't you?
Right. Well, it was about a month, and I was hired at a small place, and they're not even open anymore, called AIM Industries.
AIM Material Handling Industry.
AIM Material Handling. Yes. Yeah.
James Miles Dabrowski.
Yes. Yeah. Miles.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wasn't there for very long.
I worked there a long, long time ago.
Did you?
And I also was not there very long.
Not very long. Yeah. And there, there's. Yeah, maybe I don't. Yeah. So, I was super fortunate to get my foot in the door, even though it wasn't a great job. It didn't pay well. I didn't particularly have a lot of fun there, but I was able to, like we just talked about, you get on a MIG gun and you just get time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was, made some connections, and that's through connections is how I ended up getting my job at was it Meridian? No, it was Meridian next after that, and that was better experience. Still, it's production work.
Because Meridian is the same as Sekundiak, I think. It was Sekundiak.
Sekundiak, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, on Sekundiak Drive, I think that street's still called.
Yeah. So you were at Meridian for a bit, or did you have a little jump spot in between?
There was just something like a sales job in between, but no welding job in between.
Yeah, okay. So Meridian, for people that don't know, Meridian is like farm implement equipment, I think, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, augers and grain conveyors. So And I think a lot of their business is actually in Australia, which is kind of neat to think about,
Mm-hmm.
that you're building products that are going all the way across the world.
Yeah. You want to hear something weird that I did once?
You also worked at Meridian? No,
No,
what?
but when I build when I was younger, and I haven't done this in a long time, but it's still kind of weird. When I would build something that I knew was getting shipped overseas, like far, far away, like Australia or China,
Yeah.
or Russia, I would write notes and put them inside the tubes and then weld them in. Just saying like, "Hey, I'm from Canada. If you ever have to cut this open to repair it, word up. How you doing?"
If they have to cut it open to repair it, was it your fault that they had to cut it open to repair it? Do you really
It,
want your signature on that?
it's obviously the engineer's fault. Come on, Hannah.
Obviously.
It is never my fault. All right, but I always thought it was like a little time capsule, you
A
know?
little message in a bottle. Yeah,
Isn't it?
cute.
Yeah, I did
They-
that a
they-
bunch of times, being like, "Wow!" I did it inside of a stainless steel vessel because I'm like, this stainless steel vessel is going to be here for like 1,000,000 years. Someday, aliens are going to cut this open and be like, "Wow, who's this Max?"
he had some pretty sick welds.
So you were
Yeah,
at Meridian
right.
for a bit. What happened with that? Where would you end up after that?
After that, that was when we talked about, building connections and stuff. I worked with a guy who used to work at Brandt, who got me an interview with Brandt. So basically, from the time I started school, my objective was just to kind of keep one upping wherever I was working until I was at a reasonable wage and I was learning and I was happier. So I was at Brandt for almost 3 years, just until the COVID layoffs.
Hmm.
And Brandt was great because they did a variety of stuff, a variety of processes and techniques. And you built a ton of different equipment, heavy equipment, with 3/4 inch welds and guarding that was, 12 gauge, you're running quick little downhands, right? So,
It's funny.
um,
I'm teaching 3/4 inch verticals tomorrow.
is that right?
Yeah,
Whew, I
you
haven't
remember
done
that
one of
one?
those in I haven't done one of those in a hot minute. No.
Yeah. So you were at Brandt almost 3 years. And, I did
Almost
about
3 years.
yeah, I did about a
Yeah.
7 year stint at Brandt, and I was at Equipment Solutions, and I enjoyed my time there.
Yeah, I was at Equipment Solutions as well. Yeah, and you work with a ton of different people and you learn um tidbits from people. People work there from all over the world too. So it's a lot of fun to learn about other people and where they came from, and um, how they do things where they're from, like weld wise and stuff.
Yeah, and right before COVID hit, I was like, I stop in to visit Brent every now and then. They're one of the biggest companies in the province, and I have good friends there, and they were on the biggest upswing, man. Like, they were expanding and hiring, and especially Equipment Solutions took over like the
The
huge shop.
Nortrax.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
they bought companies in Calgary and the States. Like, I'm just Brant was blowing up, and I was like, that's so good for Regina and for Saskatchewan and for the welders.
Yeah, a lot of jobs.
Yeah, and then boom, COVID comes down like a full
Oy.
wet blanket. So then what happens? You hear you're getting laid off, or were you like early in the layoffs, or did you kind of?
I was early. So I got the boot in April, in early April, with a few others. Um and you're upset when it happens, but then you kind of like sit back and you're like, okay, well, let's try to make the best of it, right?
Yeah,
And it turns out it was kind of a blessing in disguise, because I was able to kind of start tinkering around in my grandfather's garage, and I bought a $600 welder and started making strength equipment for some friends, just out of some steel that I'd go around to, the smaller shops and say, hey, you got any of this? Or, so I
yeah,
started making some strength equipment, some strongman equipment for some friends. And just like we talked about earlier with social media, it really snowballed.
yeah. And
And
that's kind of the next topic that I'm going to bring up with you, because you throughout this whole time, and even when I knew you as a student, you've always had a really solid side hobby, like a hobby that you really, really love, right? And that
Yeah,
hobby is powerlifting.
powerlifting. Yeah, powerlifting, strongman. Yeah. So,
Strong person, you mean?
strong. No, no, it's journey man, not journey person. No,
I'm not with you on that one. I believe in them. I believe.
no.
No, I'm okay with change. I'm
You're
okay.
okay with change?
It doesn't bother me.
Nah, it doesn't bother me really either way either. Yeah. So in strongman, not so much powerlifting, but in strongman, all the equipment is it's not like a regulated. I don't want to say is the right word, but it's not standardized. So you're making axles everywhere you go. An axle is different everywhere you go. A strongman log is different. So really fortunate in the way that I can kind of make things the way I want to make them and how I like to use them, and people are just eating it up, and it's a ton of fun to make something that I really enjoy making and doing as a hobby.
Well, you're really bringing two things together, right? Because you have a hobby and a passion. So that makes you like understand what you like and don't like. You're like, I use
Yes.
equipment, I've used people's equipment, I've used this brand and this brand and this company's, and each one of them you kind of start thinking, I like that or I don't like that, or you remember like, I pinched my finger on that stupid thing on that thing, or
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I mean? And it
absolutely.
starts coming together and you start being like, I don't like these aspects, and then you start dreaming it in your head and be like, if I were to make one of these, this is what I would
Yeah,
do differently.
yeah, you're up late at night with your eyes wide open in bed thinking, well, if I just, use that instead of, right? So that's what it becomes, and it's a lot of fun when it's something that you really enjoy.
Yeah, you really get that attention to detail when you enjoy it, right? Because it matters.
Yes. Yes. Every piece you make, it's essentially going to one of your friends, right? Like I know all these people that I'm selling equipment to, personally or through social media. Social media.
Well, no,
So
that's the new community. Everyone, like, it's literally the theme in our first few episodes that we've done here. I've talked to people now across Canada for this for the podcast, and the one thing, the central theme that keeps coming up, especially with young people, is like community's not dead. Community's bigger than ever. It's
yes.
just online.
Yeah. It's a very, very, very small world nowadays.
Yeah. So the connections are doable, and for the young entrepreneur, hey, there's opportunities here, right?
Yeah, and it's not, I kind of got into the LinkedIn thing, but
LinkedIn's too
LinkedIn,
square.
yes.
It's too
Yeah,
square. It's too lame. It's too polished. I was like, man, I'm a professor. I've been in this for like 27, 28 years now. I've had my company for 20 years. So like, I mean, that's a long time.
that's a long time.
And with all the things I do, LinkedIn kind of started getting big in my world, but it was on like the office side.
Yes, yeah.
Where
So
it's like I'm promoting like the business, blah blah blah, right?
yeah, you're probably not going to find a welding job through LinkedIn. But if you want to expand into, like, I kind of started looking at taking some safety courses,
Mm-hmm.
and was able to make a lot of connections on LinkedIn for the safety side, like manufacturing safety. Now I've kind of gotten away from that, but it has a purpose. But things like straight up like Facebook and Instagram are the places that you're going to build your connections and keep your connections.
Yeah, and like if the guys at LinkedIn are listening, make it like a separate side. Do like LinkedIn trades or
Yeah,
LinkedIn,
LinkedIn industrial
yeah,
something.
LinkedIn industrial,
Yeah,
something more like
more
the average
pictures.
person. Yeah, more pictures,
More
more
pictures. Yeah,
people like showing off like Instagram, like, hey, check out my welds or
yeah,
thing I made or whatever it is.
yeah. And thankfully, we do have
Yeah.
Instagram where it's just pretty TIG welds um, to aspire to.
Then you're like, did they Photoshop that?
Which filter did they use to get those colors?
Yeah. Well, and LinkedIn does have a thing called LinkedIn Learning, which is like their little online university that they have where they offer free classes.
Well,
And
that's cute.
yeah, and I thought that was a pretty good idea. And then I started checking them out, but they're kind of classes that I would never use in my world.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, how to increase productivity if you're a $3 million company.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not a $3 million company just yet, so
Just yet. That's right. Me too. Just yet.
just
Maybe I'll
yet.
look into that in the future.
All right, well, we're right at the 15-minute mark, so we're going to take a quick break here, and then we'll be back with Hannah Brock on the CWB podcast.
The CWB Group is offering a hydrostatic testing course at our Nisku CWB training facility. This course is a must-have for all personnel involved in the planning, execution, and inspection of hydrostatic testing. It ensures that everyone involved in any given hydro test will have the same baseline training and safety protocols across Canada. This course covers a wide range of topics related to pressure testing, with a specific emphasis on hydrostatic testing of oil and gas pipelines according to CSA Z662 and other applicable Canadian regulations. The 3-day course covers the theoretical background and practical aspects of pressure testing. The hands-on practical exercises are unique to this course, and individuals will learn how to calculate different variables related to hydrostatic testing. Course highlights include testing theory, establishing the safe pressure test requirement and environment, test setup and sequence, test instrumentation and documentation, practical demonstration of pig launching and receiving techniques, practical demonstration of burst test. Space is limited. Register today for the first Canadian-focused hydrostatic training course.
All right, we're back here with Hannah Brock on the Canadian Welding Bureau Association podcast. We're having lots of fun talking about kind of where she started as a welder, where she worked, kind of her gig, and then she got into combining the gig with the passion, which was strongman. So you've competed strongman, right?
Yes, sir.
And how have you done?
Pretty well, I think. I just found out that I still hold the Canadian log press record at 242 pounds, and with the equipment that I'm fabricating, I'm gonna try and break the middleweight world record and my own Canadian record in about 7 weeks. I get to try that again.
And what is the record you're trying to beat?
The world record is 253, so I'll go for 255 or so on the log
That's
press.
only like 8 more pounds. You can do that for sure.
I know, all right? It's not much when you say it like that.
It's just like adding a roast. Just add a roast and you're good.
Absolutely, yeah. A couple hams each side, and right when you put it that way, no problem.
I weigh like 220, so what you're saying is you can grab me by the collar and by the belt and just whip me right up over your head?
A lot of it depends on you. How good is your core strength?
I can keep straight.
You can keep straight? Might be able to bang on a couple reps then.
You've seen me. I'm kind of built like a log.
Yeah, you're built like a bowling ball. You and I are very similar. Yeah.
And know, I do good at that core strength stuff. I'm not good at running, and I'm not real good at stuff like that.
Oh, me neither.
If you want me to lift 400 pounds off the ground, I can do that.
Okay, well that's my cup of tea.
So you got the passion, you got the thing going. Now tell me about what you've started, because you got a brand going. Like you just started, and I think it's super cool.
Thanks, Max. It really snowballed like we talked about in the first half. And we were trying to think of, you told me you're like, I need a name, I need a website. So we came up with a name called Valkyrie Strength Equipment, and went on to this site called Freelancer. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you're familiar with that one, but you go in
one called Free Sites, so probably the same.
Free Sites, probably the same. The one where you there's like freelance
build
artists
your own page and everything. Yeah.
No, this one here, it's for your logo design.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so you go, you give them, this is my name, this is my idea, this is what I have vision, but I'm not an artistic person. So
Mhm.
I went on and I put we call it a bounty, but it's not a bounty. We say I'll give you this much money, and they bid on it and they submit. These are freelance artists all over the world, and they come up with a logo and a design, and you get to pick, and then you pay for the artwork that you want to pick. And I had almost 400 entries that
Wow.
I had to sift through to find the one that I really liked. But that was a lot of fun figuring that out.
So what was that site again?
Freelancer.
Freelancer. All right. So people looking for new logos. I was actually just thinking about my logo being lame the other day because I get like
Oh,
I get like nice little notepads made up and stuff that I give to clients, like Christmas
yeah.
time and just as a perk. And I was looking at one of my notepads the other day and I was like, man, my logo's it's getting old. My first business, I had a super cool logo, but then when I sold the business, I sold it with the logo.
Mm.
Right. So then I was like, okay, since then I've just been using my initials, just SMC, and I got
Oh yeah.
like a square with a S in the middle, and I got a company color and everything. But it's kind
Cute.
of a lame logo. It's like, I'm gonna look into that. Maybe they can do something pretty.
Yeah, no, and I put $75 as like, if I pick your artwork, you get 75 Canadian dollars, and I had almost 400 entries,
Wow.
right? So yeah, you don't have to put a lot of money down
And
either.
were
And
and
then
were lots of them cool?
a lot of them are cool. We had it narrowed down to like a dozen that I had to get input from a bunch of friends and stuff. Like, okay, like which one's the most readable? Which one's easy to stencil? Which one's gonna, die cut
Transfer well.
decal's gonna look?
Yeah.
What's that? Yeah,
Will
like a
transfer
lot of
well to boxes and to stickers and stuff.
Yeah,
Welding helmets.
welding helmets. Yeah, you bet. Yeah, so
Man.
we've got the logo, we've got the name. Now we're working on the website through Shopify.
Okay. Yeah. Good.
Yeah, and
Shopify's
that's
good because
that's
they're tied into online shopping and they have all the platforms for like buying and selling.
yeah, on like I think right on Instagram, and they have options to you can add can't remember what it's called, Sezzle, I think. So I'm selling big ticket items, right? So you're going to spend, $400 on one item.
Yeah.
So there's this thing called Sezzle then where you can do monthly payments, installments with no interest. So
Yeah, and the
um
company takes care of it all. You don't have to worry about any of it.
yeah, yeah, I
They
get
take
paid.
like a
Yeah.
2%. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, as long as I get paid, I don't care.
Yeah, I used to offer financing 2 years ago, and then I had too many people. I started feeling guilty because then I had like a lot of
Oh,
people that were like in deep. I got paid, so I
yeah.
didn't. So at first I was like, "That's cool, as long as I'm getting paid." But then you run into them like a year later. They're like, "I'm still paying off that thing." It's like, yeah, I kind of started feeling a little bad.
Yeah. I kind of offer it to close friends personally, like installments, but
Yeah,
yeah, that's not a
cash
thing that
talks
you want to
though.
get too tangled up in.
Another thing with technology that's awesome is that with my business, and I'm sure you're going to do it too, is that I got all this stuff set up on my phone now, right? So if I want to make a sale or talk to people in person or so, I can just take credit card payment, tap right on my phone,
Mm,
and then man, when I was coming up, it was like, oh, I don't got any cash, I'll pay you later, and it's like now it's like, actually, I'm
no
right here,
excuses.
tap
Yeah.
it, man. Like I'll just take cash right now.
Tap it. Or you all talk. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, or else I'm not giving you nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're gonna get apparel and stuff as well, banners, the little things that we can sell. Set up a booth at the strongman competitions.
Hmm.
Not necessarily selling a $400 log, to your mom at a strongman competition,
But
right?
mainly for like just the representation, right, and the advertisement.
Yeah, and we're just starting out, but we're trying to really give back to the strength community, and we hope that people support us, and then we can support them right back through sponsoring prize money for breaking records and covering entry fees.
Becoming like a sponsor or
um,
something.
yeah, so, and that's like the strength community is so small, so um really giving back to the community really helps build the community too.
Well, that's awesome. A friend of mine just started dating a former world champ strongman, Christoph.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever
Oh yeah.
you ever heard of him?
Yeah,
Met him?
Christoph Sunnison.
Yep. Yeah, he's from
Yeah,
Denmark. He's all tattooed
yeah,
up.
yeah. He's a great deadlifter.
Yeah, he was just here last weekend. He came over for some drinks. We met him. He's the new boyfriend, and
Oh
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, he seems like a nice guy. You know,
He's
though.
he's a pretty boy.
Yeah, he is, and
Yeah, yeah,
he was telling me how hard it is for people in the strongman or heavy lifting community because they all have like a certain look, like they're big ass people and they're kind of like grunty, and some of them are tattooed up, but he's like, but then we have like the most casual jobs. Like he works with like disabled youth.
yeah, yeah. He does a
Yeah,
lot of work, I think, with like autism
yeah,
resource,
yeah. And then
right?
he was
Yeah,
saying that his best friend has like a doctorate in philosophy and stuff like that. I was like,
yeah.
aw.
Well, so strongman does not pay the bills. We pay a lot of money to lift weights for fun and put up cool pictures on Instagram and say that we're Vikings. Is basically the strongman community, right?
So how's the business doing then? Like, have you been making lots of sales? I've noticed that your product is polished. You get them painted nice and looks like they're well produced.
Yeah, I took the auto body course before I took the welding course and just couldn't find any work out of it. So I know how to paint, and I actually have a ton of fun painting.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't been pushing the business so much because we were moving. But they used a bunch of my equipment out east in for their provincial competition this weekend, and everybody saw it. And I got a flood of messages after the competition saying, "Wow, like how much for one of these dumbbells?" So that was really cool to see. People saw my equipment firsthand, and it was actually one of my dumbbells was used to break a Canadian dumbbell record this weekend. And so I got a ton of messages from people out east asking um, about my equipment and shipping and stuff. So it's pretty cool that I haven't actually tried that hard to um, promote and advertise. I put up a couple Instagram posts,
Mm-hmm.
and people see it and they want it. So that's a super cool feeling.
Well,
Like
I'll tell you what, Hannah, you're learning this right now, and I've learned it throughout my life. That if you're passionate about something and you just are like a hard worker, things just kind of fall into place for
they
you.
fall, yeah, and you could tell somebody that and they might not believe you, but it's true.
It is. And like people, I have this happen to me all the time. People are like, how did you go to Africa? How did you end up in Russia? How do you do all these cool things? And it's like, dude, I just work my ass off and I'm super passionate about what I do. And people ask me, like, I don't even go chasing these jobs down. Like, I get the phone call in the middle of the day being like, hey, what's up? You want to do some crazy gig? And it's like, sure.
Yeah, can't say no to that.
And
No, and it's the absolute truth.
Mhm. So now with work coming into you, you got to not say no, right? You just learn to schedule yourself well
Yep.
and just
Well,
say
and
yes
the
to everything.
I may or may not have accepted a full-time position that'll start in a couple of weeks, so I'm gonna have to really learn how to manage my time wisely. I've been supplementing the business side with my unemployment insurance since I got laid off, but it's scary to think about coming off of unemployment insurance and not be able to pay the bills with your startup business, right? So
Well, they're doable. Like I have had 2 to 3 jobs at a time since I was, I think, 24, and I've never not had at least two. And
to
it's just the way I'm wired.
yeah,
I have my company kind of always going on the side. So if it happens, and then like I keep it registered and I keep it up to date so that if something crosses my path, I can take it and I just schedule myself. I'll be like, okay, I'll do that for you, but it's got to wait till the weekend, and they can say yes or
yes,
no, and that's
yeah, you
fine.
have to learn how to say no, and you have to learn how to say this is going to probably take longer
Yeah,
than
and
what
that's
you're
fine
hoping.
as long as you're honest. If people want you to do it, they'll they'll come to you. Like
Yes.
it's funny too because I'm not even cheap. I'm probably like more expensive than most fabricators out there. But the people that end up on my doorstep are picking me for a reason, and they're not gonna. If I say, "Hey man, sorry, it's gonna take 3 weeks," they're okay with it. They know.
They're okay with it because they know that the product that they're getting is going to be the best for their money. So
Yep.
they're not concerned. Yeah, you can go to, well, Joe down the street is, he only charges this much. Well,
Go ahead.
Joe's probably only going to give you a product that costs that much,
Yeah.
right?
And Joe's not on Instagram, so come on.
And Joe's not on Instagram. Instagram is the key there.
I got
You bet.
I got a buddy who's a home chef, and he runs his business out of his house, and that's one of his shticks with Instagram is that every time a guest comes over, he does a little picture and a spread with the people that he serves. And
Cute.
and it's cute. Yeah, it's super nice, and it really boosts his internet presence, and the guy's making money hand over fist out of his kitchen. And he used to be
And it doesn't take
he used to
much.
be a Red Seal chef in like one of the fanciest restaurants in town, and he's doing better out of his kitchen now. And lots of
Out
that.
of his kitchen, and he doesn't have any overhead.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it doesn't take much. You put out quality content and heartfelt content that you're proud of, and it doesn't take much. You don't have to be putting out 16 posts a day.
I do.
You have to.
But mine are like, hey, here's my
maybe
turtle.
you need another job then if you're
Yeah,
that
here's
if you have
here's
that
my
much free
turtle,
time.
and here's my well. And here's
Oh, okay.
my
Well,
car.
I don't mind seeing pepperoni every day.
Yeah,
I don't
Pepper,
mind
awesome
that.
turtle.
Yeah.
She's
Maybe I should start.
she's grumpy right
Well,
now because the seasons are changing. She doesn't like fall, so
I feel you, pepperoni.
yeah, me too. I got a sweater and like 2 layers on. I'm not digging this cold, and I got the furnace cranked already. Everyone's like, not turning on the furnace till October 1st. You're crazy, man. It's
It's a
cold.
Halloween at least.
Oh, shut up. I'd be dead.
Yeah. Well, what do you got all that mass? You're thick built like bowling ball. That's
Yeah,
how
but
you stay alive.
it's my Latino thing, man. I'm not good.
Oh,
I'm not good with
yeah.
cold. But when it's plus 30, I'm digging it, and you guys are all melting. So
No, yeah, I can't handle the heat. I don't know why I became a welder.
yeah.
But
So you got an opportunity coming up. You're going to be back on the tools, or what?
yeah, I got actually and going full circle again with building connections and keeping connections. The one of the shops that I buy a lot of my steel from was hiring at Cyclone.
Oh yeah.
So I went in there. Yeah, I went in there for a weld test with Daryl last week, and he said, "Yeah, we'll start you in a couple weeks, just letting me catch up on all the stuff I have at home." So, and that's
Daryl and
at the
Mark
beginning
at
of the.
Cyclone, Yeah.
What's that?
Daryl and Mark at Cyclone. I've known those guys a long
Yeah,
time.
very
Yeah.
nice guys.
Yep.
Going back, I started at a company called AIM, made $14 an hour doing not glamorous work.
Mhm.
And I've been welding for about 4 years now and have worked my way up, where I'm making a great wage. And now I can start, TIG welding and doing stainless and aluminum and the
Well,
fun stuff.
At Cyclone, they do everything, and they have a paint
Yeah.
shop, powder booth.
Powder booth. Yeah.
So they got
Everything's
everything
cut
there.
in house. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I'm excited to get to learn how to operate all of that kind of stuff selfishly for my own business purposes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, that's right. But if there's any younger, new welders listening, you're probably gonna have to start in production, but work hard and be patient. And if you have a great attitude, you'll work your way up to where you're doing those, photoshopped TIG Instagram welds. You'll get there.
Yeah.
You will. It may
And
not seem like it.
make friends with the people,
Yes.
especially the ones that seem really smart and really ambitious. Because when layoffs come around or people bounce, they move on to bigger and better things.
Yes.
Down the road, they can help you out, right?
Absolutely. You build connections when you start, and you keep the connections. And like people that I worked with at my first job, we're still in touch. We're still good friends.
Mhm.
And we've helped each other out throughout our little welding careers. So that's really what the big takeaway I think from this podcast is connections and
And that's
how
something the Canadian Welding Bureau is pushing hard. Because you know me, that I've been, even when you were in school, I pushed the Welding Association hard. I'm
Yeah.
always trying to get students hooked up and registered and involved. But really, the problem that's always been there is like, get involved for what? Like, what's the point, right?
free lunch.
Yeah. And I'm okay with giving the free lunch. and some of them are super fun. Like some of the ones you've gone to, you probably enjoyed and thought that was interesting. But
Yep.
there's kind of almost like an awkwardness, or like there's not enough like um connection happening, and that
Yeah,
connection is very
when
much
you're new.
online.
Yeah.
When you're
And
new,
it's
it's
a
tough.
tough it's tough because you're welding, so you can't it's tough to kind of portray to somebody that you're trying to make a connection with that I'm actually like, a pretty good little welder, but you're meeting somebody, you can't talk about the job, you have to show the job. So that might be part of it,
Yeah.
is that the Daryl and Mark, like they've seen the work that I do through Facebook, social media,
Yeah.
right? And they've seen what I can do, right? So that might be kind of what's hindering the newer kids, is because how can you articulate what your goals are and what you're good at, when you can't show it?
Yeah. I was actually thinking about that even on the flip side the other day. Is like, if I was boss of the world, I
I
would get,
wish.
I would get all like, you get all the old welders, all the old guys, the company owners, the business owners, all these, the CWB like head brass. They've all been in the welding trades like 30, 40 years, 50 years. It's like, sit them down in a room, make them all sign up for Instagram right now. Everyone sign up
Yes,
for Instagram together. Everyone get pick a name and get your tag going. And then I want everyone as homework to upload 10 cool things that they've built in their lives.
that is a great idea. I think we just came up with well, you anyways just came up with the new welding social media app, or
Because
trades.
all these old guys can talk to each other about all the cool things they did, and the young people are like, "What are you talking about? Like, show me!" And they don't
Yeah,
put pictures. Well, put the pictures up.
yeah, yeah. I think you're right. I think there needs to be the connecting, and the lunches and stuff are great, but how do you um, show somebody your work ethic and your ability to be creative and your skills over, a great little lunch?
Yeah. So now,
Yes.
now what's the plan? You're gonna be working. You're planning on staying in Regina? Like, you like it here? This is
Yeah,
home base.
yeah, I don't hate it. I would. We're actually talking. We might, in the future, end up moving to Alberta, just because that's where a lot of our friends, like in the strength community,
Hmm.
are located, and that's where a lot of people actually are buying my equipment from, is in Alberta.
But it's
But
Alberta.
I'll stay in Regina for now. For now, it's home.
Yeah,
After getting laid off, we can't get mortgages or anything right now for the
for a
next
bit.
little while.
Yeah.
So yeah, kind of have to start over. Um, so yeah, so we'll stay here, and like I have, like we just discussed, I have you. I have my new job. Family. So
Mhm.
I wouldn't be opposed to staying here.
Cool. All right. Well, you know what? Half hour's up. Boom.
That was quick.
That was lots of fun, Hannah.
Yeah, absolutely was.
And
I
maybe
had a
I'll have to
blast.
back in with you in a few months here, see how the business is doing in the new.
Yeah, see if I'm
If you're on your
working too hard.
$3 million business yet.
Yeah, I should probably go find that article on LinkedIn.
All right. Well, you take care, and I appreciate you being on the show.
Yeah,
Uh,
you too. Thanks for having
Someone
me.
someone from the bosses world here will probably be in touch with you and see what the follow up is. And for the people that are listening, when the podcast is released at the end or even during, they're going to be putting up Hannah's Instagram information, so you guys can reach out to her if you have questions about her equipment and her company, or if you just want to talk to her about her path, or if you want to reach out to me, you can always find me on Instagram, AskMax75. I'm on there. Also through the CWB portal, these will all be up. So awesome. Take care, Hannah, and
Thank
I'll
you.
talk to you soon.
Sounds great.
All right. Bye bye.
We hope you enjoyed the show.